Lunch Money Lambert, Jeff Malott. Welcome to the Kayak Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the Kayak Nation. Kayak Nation. Hey. Welcome to the Kayak Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Nation, where we talk about fishing and competition. It's your boy Ox Pippin, aka Ox Fishing. Don't come over here tripping. Hey, hope you enjoy the show. Jeff Malott, Lunch Money Lambert, Lego. Hey, welcome to the Kayak Nation. Kayak Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the Kayak Nation. Kayak Nation. Hey. Welcome to the Kayak Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Nation.
Hey, I can hear that music back there. Is that me? I don't have my mic muted. What's up, everybody? Welcome to KBN Live. Happy Monday to you. Got a great show lined up for you tonight. I'm Jeff Malott, my partner Ryan Lambert over there. What's going on, Ryan?
Living the dream, buddy. Living the dream. Just got off the lake.
Back in the home studio.
Hey, look at it. Still here. Still here. Who knew?
Yeah. Usually out on the road working hard.
Not this week. Not this week.
Well, what'd you do this weekend? What do we got to talk about?
I did nothing. I didn't do anything this week. I was being domesticated this weekend. I don't know what happened. I saw our good friend that's in the comments right now, Cliff Allen. He said, I'm going in or something. I'm going live or something. I got a notification that he went live, and then I never saw what came of it. I didn't catch the video. Did you see? This was Friday night later in the afternoon, of course. But I didn't see what happened. Did you happen to catch that yourself?
I did not.
Cliff or Clifton, can you give us the Cliff Notes of what that was about?
Maybe Cliff can tell Clifton.
Well, one of the two. I don't think there was a whole lot going on this weekend. Locally, there were a few local clubs that had some derbs. Up in Knoxville, they had a Fort Loudon tournament. Young gun Daniel Keys, he took the win on Fort Loudon, and I got of course stepped in a little bit of hot water afterwards because I posted about good thing they cut the rivers off for the River Boys, meaning Jordan Marshall and Eric Thomason, and I guess that just was not met with laughter on the tournament director's side because they teed off there for a second. Marshall woke up this morning and, of course, came in pretty hot on that post, and it got fairly out of hand. Moral of the story, I like it when the rivers are included with the lakes, but that's just me. I have my own club that we run, so
yeah. Well, yeah, not much popping over here. We had a local tournament that I threw my money in. I came in a top 10 with a solid 10th place finish.
Okay, all right.
On a flooded Beaver Lake, and a few people threw up some big limits. Jason Kinsey won it. Krista Hibbs, who I think you met over at Dartmouth event, she came in second and won big bass. I saw that.
Congrats.
Won big bass. So, yeah, kicking butt over here. Flooded in our flooded waters.
Cliff Allen said he had to delete the whole video due to John Allen throwing in some BS at the end. Thank you, Cliff, for being your own custodian. We do appreciate that.
You're the man. Well, we got, nationwide, there were some big things happening. Big tournament up in Connecticut, maybe the first big kayak tournament ever in Connecticut. We got
Where's Connecticut?
Saturday. I think it's near Montana. I'm not sure.
Okay, all right.
I could be wrong with that. No, It's up in the Northeast. We've had some other Northeast anglers on earlier this year, and we've got Ryan Nye, the Saturday winner, coming on here in just a minute. And then out west, Alex Cox cashed the big money. We'll have
he cleaned house on them boys out there. Goodness gracious.
I know.
And I did see about 3 p.m. today they did finalize the results. So congratulations, California, on counting your votes or judging whatever y'all did. Good job. You got it.
Good job, boys. We do a lot of back and forth with the Cali folks, and all in good fun. And they put on a good show this weekend, it looked like. So good job out there, guys. Made it through all the muscle checks and different things and had your big tournament. So we're proud.
I can see them off flexing at the board check just to make sure.
Yeah, I was trying to get this shared over to the Bass Nation group since we're having one of those guys on there, but I can't seem to find it. Maybe I'm blocked. I don't know. But
Yeah, we probably are blocked, man.
if anyone wants to share this thing over there, that'd be great. Or share this live stream anywhere else. That'd be great, too. That'll help us out a lot.
We'll take it.
Yeah, and if you're listening on we got somebody on YouTube. Paul's on YouTube. We got some people on Facebook watching. And if you're listening on the podcast later, on the audio podcast, we appreciate y'all, too. But, yeah, let's get Ryan in here and talk about catching big smallies in Connecticut. What do you say? Speaking your language?
Yes, I like it.
All right, here we go. We'll be right back with Ryan and I.
KBN Live is brought to you by Western Sun Vodka. Western Sun Vodka is a 10 times distilled, award-winning, gluten-free vodka. They are independently owned and crafted in Pilot Point, Texas.
Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation.
All right. Ryan Nye, what is up, my man? Thanks for taking the time to join us tonight.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Before we came on, Ryan, I'm going to start saying Lambert like in the military.
Okay,
Lambert,
thank you.
Lambert and Nye, because we got two Ryans here.
There you go.
I said we've had all these Northeastern guys with the accents on, and he's like, we're the ones with accents? What are you talking about? Is that right?
I guess on this you kind of are, huh? We're outnumbered by you two.
Yep, that's the trick. That is the trick. So, tell us where you're from and how long have you been kayak fishing?
I'm from Connecticut. I've been kayak fishing competitively since 2018, so not too long. And I mean, my first year I was in like a sit-in little kayak, like everybody starts in. But so if you call that kayak fishing, I guess that's like the original. But doing the bigger lake stuff, this is only my second year, so. Like,
what do you fish out of now? What was your upgrade?
I fish out of an Old Town Predator PDL.
Let them know about it,
All
Ryan.
right, that's fine.
That's
fine. That's fine. Whatever.
It works.
It does. It does. They are functional kayaks.
They float and gets me around the lake, and I'll take it.
What's your favorite accessory that you have on your Old Town kayak?
My pedals.
Fair enough. All right.
Functional pedals. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I can't argue with
Pedal
that.
drive. I don't know. I mean,
That is something good to have on there.
I'm not a big accessory guy.
Do you run electronics? Are you an electronic guru?
Not. I wouldn't say a guru. I have a Helix 7 that I run, but nothing crazy. I don't have no live or nothing like that.
Was that influential in you winning this tournament, would you say?
It was not. Well, I guess. I marked beds on it, and then I used mapping for the entire event. I never even used anything else. So
I like it.
Went and followed my marks, and that's it.
Well,
Are you awake, Jeff?
Tell us a little bit about the fishery, man, for people that aren't familiar with Candlewood. I mean, honestly, never heard of it before.
I'm not really familiar with it either. I'm from Connecticut, and I've never fished that lake until I took Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to pre-fish it. I mean, it's a pretty big lake, but it's like narrow fingers. So there's not like a lot of like big water, I wouldn't say. Like, it fishes fairly small, I thought. The water is clear for you guys, especially down south that don't get clear water. It's not like Lake George or nothing, but it's not dirty either, like some of those lakes.
Some of the mud holes down here.
Yeah.
What was your approach?
Like
How are you catching these
like 3 or
fish?
4 feet, probably.
How are you catching these fish in the clear water?
I was fishing beds in pre-fishing. I was marking beds, and then it got a little bit more stained up throughout the tournament, and I kind of switched what I was doing. And there was boat tournaments Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And all those guys, it seemed like those guys wanted to be sight fishing. So I kind of moved away from the sight fishing thing when every bed I went to was empty, or there was already someone on it, or somebody would leave, somebody else would jump on it. So I kind of got away from the sight fishing thing after I caught my first 2 fish off beds, or first 3 fish off beds, and then I went did a little something different.
Well,
That's a
explain
pretty
this.
excited way to catch smallmouth, though, sight fishing. We don't necessarily have that luxury down here. We know where they bed, and you go there and you throw until you get bit. You don't actually see the fish, generally speaking.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, man. Even up here in the Ozarks, we have clear water with Beaver Lake and Table Rock. I don't have really any experience sight fishing for smallmouth because when you say sight fishing, I immediately think throwing at largemouth on beds. So how deep were those things bedding up?
I saw them anywhere from 2 feet to 6. As deep as you could see. I mean, their beds are huge, so even when the water was a little dingy, you could still see them in 6. I'm sure they were bedding deeper than that, but no, there was some. 20-inch smallmouth in 2 feet of water, bedding like a largemouth would.
Really?
Yeah, it was cool.
I listened to a podcast not long ago, one of the Bass Talk Live episodes, and they were talking about bedding and smallmouth. And they say they're unlike largemouth. You don't have to mess with them. If you put a bait in front of it, they'll eat it. Is that true? Did you find that to be true?
Absolutely. Yeah.
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 Like they'll meet it on the way down. They're not waiting for you to mess with them on the bed.
Yeah, no, they just don't want it there. It doesn't matter. And you can flip in there, catch it, let it go, and wait 5 minutes, flip back in there, and you'll catch it again.
Oh.
They just will keep eating, I guess.
Because smallmouth are like hyper aggressive anyway. Honestly, smallmouth are way easier to catch than largemouth. The problem is finding where the smallmouth are, because usually if they're in a clear, deep lake, they're in deeper water, so you don't really have that great of an idea, or they're in really fast moving water, and some people just don't feel comfortable, river fishing. So that's why a lot of guys don't mess with smallmouth, because they're a little harder to find. But once you find them, you're going to put them in the boat because they'll eat anything.
Yeah. Yep. Literally, whatever you put in front of them, especially when they're on beds. And all year. If you can get around a group of them, you can just keep catching them, and they'll pile up like that once you do find them. So, but this was just looking at them, and once I couldn't find them or stopped finding them, and big boats seemed to be taking them, or other kayakers were sitting on spots, I just went to a shade bank because everybody wanted to be looking at them, and you couldn't see them on the shade bank. So I did what you were just talking about, just casting where they should be and catching them that way. But the bank that I caught my last 2 good fish on, I saw 2 boats on it all day, where every other bank had boats all day back and forth. So
Smart play.
Well, tell us the story on this one, the behemoth smallie from day one.
I caught 2 that size. So I don't know which one that is. Was that the early one or the late one?
It didn't have a timestamp on it. It's just the top one on the list right there. Okay. No, that's 5:43 a.m.
Good Lord. I wasn't even out of bed on any tournament at 5:43 a.m.
Is that an accurate timestamp? Maybe that's throwing Central Time on there.
It's got to be, because our tournament didn't start till 6.
Fish chaos. Oh, you're DQ'd. Never mind. Who was second?
We're done.
We've got a new winner.
Breaking news. On,
California just finished judging the fish. Bring them in.
I caught a 20 and a quarter on the shade line, just blind casting where they should be. Every dock, it seemed like they were chained down in the corners with cinder blocks on the bottom of them. So there should be, they should be bedding near those or around those. So I just fished every single one of those on the shade line, and I caught a 20 and a quarter over there doing that. And then the other one was the second fish I caught that day, which was on a bed in 2 feet of water. And it was like maybe 80 yards from the boat ramp.
That's awesome.
That's a good spot for one.
So I ran around the point. I caught that first, the 1975 I caught was the first fish. I had marked it the day before, so I knew that one was there. And I caught that, ran around the point, back to the boat ramp, caught the other one, and then I just went looking where there was beds, and a lot of them were empty, and then I ended up finding the 18.5 on a bed. And then the last 2 were just blind casting on that shade bank where the other beds were, like in the area where they should be. It's just going a lot slower, and you just got to take your time and pick it apart a little more, because obviously you're hoping they're there, but you don't know.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I'm jealous.
What were you catching them on?
Juice. What was that?
So you want to give up the juice or what?
Yeah, we can give up some juice. If I saw them, I would like you said, they'll eat anything. I was using a Tokyo rig with just a white. I cut a Senko in half, threw it on there, and they would eat it if I could see them. If when I was not seeing them, I was throwing a 1/4 ounce Berkeley craw and just dragging it really slow, where I thought that they should be. I've just never thrown Ned rigs, and everyone else was throwing Ned rigs, and I felt like that was similar, but I could throw a big hook on it and throw it on casting gear, and that's way more my speed than finesse, slow down, and 8-pound test. I'm good without that.
Clifton Allen wants to know, well, first of all, he says congrats on your win. Second of all, he wants to know if you're a jackhammer guy. Is that something that you keep in your arsenal?
I am, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
You're a good man. You deserve to win.
Perfect. I did not catch any fish on it that whole week, though. I threw it a bunch.
What?
I never got bit on it.
Bro, are you kidding? Not one?
Maybe I suck at throwing the jackhammer, but I throw it.
Oh, shit. You throw it out, let it hit the water, and then you just turn the handle and bring it back. That's
it, huh?
That's all you have to do. Damn.
I don't know, man. It didn't work for me.
Oh, my goodness. It's those Yankee
They were
fish,
eating
I
that
bet.
craw,
They don't know what they're supposed to eat. They're eating half Cincos on a Tokyo rig. They're
Hey.
so confused.
It doesn't matter. Those things, man, they just eat. If you can see them, I mean, unless they're spooky, but those things are running around the bed chasing bluegill, and they're just fired up all the time. I mean,
Well, good news. You've qualified for the national championship, so
yeah.
thumbs up to you, pal.
Thanks.
Don't bring that Tokyo rig with half a Cinco to wherever it is, Cato, or well, I don't know where it'll be by then. But
I don't throw a Tokyo rig any other time of the year. That's it. Bedfish is the only time I'll have that thing tied on.
Really?
That makes perfect sense. It's kind of a power drop shot deal. People used to drop shot for bedfish.
They're pretty good down here, grass, especially when the milfoil and stuff's first coming up. Tokyo rig's a pretty solid little choice with a big worm. I like it with a big worm on it too, like a old monster or something.
Huh? Yeah, maybe I should add it, but I don't know.
I don't know what I'm talking about anyway, man.
Don't let Ryan lie to you. He's throwing a spinnerbait or chatterbait or a Ned rig. Ain't no Tokyo rig coming out of that boat.
I can't even spell Tokyo, so
yeah.
There.
We had another question for you, man. Chris Marks asked, did the limited launches cause issues?
I know it seemed like a problem before. Everybody was fired up about it before the event. I like that better. I think it's cool if everybody launched in the same spot. I mean, then you don't get those side of the road little, oh, he launched here and nobody else could really get there, and you got to be local to even know it's legal, and you didn't get any of that. So it was like you got to launch at these 3 places, and it just leveled the playing field. And I mean, for us guys that live here, like there's a park at that lake that you can go down a hill and launch your boat, and if you know that it's there, but not being able to do that, I mean, it was kind of nice, even though us local guys, it could have affected more than most, but
I do like the idea of the kind of predetermined launches, and I'm not saying like limit it to 3 or 4 necessarily, but if you have like a published list of these are the available launches, like you said, that way there's not a question of, well, Jim Bob slid off in the back of this slough. We had this happen at Hartwell a couple weeks ago. A guy sent me a video of this truck like at the back of this slough, and you could see a trail through the leaves, like through the woods. I mean, it was 80 or 90 yards through the woods to the back of this slough. And I mean, who knows if that's legal or not? Like, I know it's angler responsibility, whatever, but that's still like a truck pulled over on the side of the road and they drug their kayak through the woods. Whether there's an easement on it or not for the power line or whatever it may be, I do like the idea of having kind of predetermined legal launches there.
Yeah, I like that. I think they should do that more, honestly, instead of just any public access for anywhere that you can get public access, and if you can pay, like, it just gets so dicey, I think. So
yeah, for sure.
If you just make the list and that's where you can go, and I mean, if the list is 50 boat ramps, that's fine too. It doesn't matter, but at least everybody knows where you can go and where you can't.
Yeah,
I wonder if anyone's in the watching. You can get in the comments and let me know if you were there. The TOC, one of the TOCs before Hobie took it over, I think it was maybe the second to last one. They did that at Lake Fork. They gave you they said it was core ramps only, no other ramp, and they didn't even allow campground ramps. It had to be core ramps only, and it cut the ramps down drastically, and it was kind of a big to do. A lot of people
was the second to last one the one that Guillermo freaking smoked him and got his limit kicked out because he called Scotch and celebrated or something.
Him and
Called
Joseph.
Joseph. That's what it was.
Because of the limited launches, they both paddled like 3 miles one way to their spots, and called each other on the way back in or something like that. But
that's crazy.
yeah, Duke
That
Tran
is
was
crazy.
there. You were there, Duke. Tell us about that. That was one of those deals where they overcooked it and limited it too much because they didn't allow some of the campground ramps and things like that had very obviously public ramps, but it was only core ramps and caused a big problem. But I'd like to meet somewhere in the middle of that. That'd be all right with me.
For sure. And I mean, a lot of times, like you'll have these, like you were saying, these ramps that are private marinas, but somebody goes in and asks them like, oh, hey, we're having a big kayak tournament this weekend. Can we use this ramp? Well, shit, only 3 or 4 people may know about that, where, there's guys that are planning on paddling 10 miles across the river to get there. Like that kind of stuff I don't really care for.
Yeah, and then you get there and there's already 8 kayakers there, and you're like, where'd you guys launch? They're like, oh, you can pay Jimmy over here and you can launch. Like, oh, well, that would be nice to know. But
that happened to us on Chick. So there was a private marina that never lets anybody launch there, but they opened it up for the tournament, but not everybody knew about it. And we had pedaled like 3.5 miles across the freaking river to go pre-fish it, and we get there and there's like 3 or 4 kayaks in there. We're like, what in the heck? Like, how's this happening? And they're like, oh, it's legal for this tournament. Come on, guys.
That happened at a KBF event on Taneycomo a couple years ago. There was some old cemetery access that only 1 or 2 local guys knew about, and there was a big stink about whether that was legal or not. So yeah, I see your point, Ryan.
All right, make note of that. Make note of that, fishing gods. Put that in the rules from here on out.
Yeah.
KBN cares.
KBN cares. We're always trying to We're always trying to grow the sport, Ryan, for the better. Isn't that our mission?
Yep. Just rub it and it'll grow. Yep.
That's it, man. That's it. Any more questions in the comments for Mr. Nye while we have him? I know he's doing the podcast circuit tonight, so we're glad he gave us a little time to come on and visit about his big W. Now, you fished both days, right?
I did fish both days.
So, what was anything different on Sunday, or did you just kind of relax a little bit on Sunday, or what happened?
The first couple fish that I caught, that first 20, that 19, I didn't see either of those. I think the bass boat's really pulling them off. So a lot of what I had was gone, and I ran around the lake, and I just never really found them. I caught those 2 fish fairly early, doing exactly what I did at the end of the day on Saturday. But I ran up and down that bank on Saturday and caught a bunch of fish that they weren't bigger than 18 and a half, and they weren't helping me. But so I know if I left that, I would have done better on Saturday, but I put 3 fish on the board, and that was it. But I was beat. I ran all over that lake on Saturday and pedaled and jumped from mark to mark to mark looking for fish. So, yeah, I don't know. Saturday.
At what point did you know you had it locked up? Like at what time frame of the day were you like, I got this one's mine?
301.
Okay.
No, I really thought that I was going to get past. I thought we were going to need 100 to win that.
Yeah.
There was just so many big fish up, and I think if you got in the right area and big boats didn't hit it, I think you easily could have put up 100. And I was worried about it the whole time, and I was waiting at the end. I'm like, somebody's got to dump fishing, but it never happened. So.
That's the good thing about adult smallmouth, though, generally speaking. I mean, if you catch an adult smallmouth, it's 18 to 20 inches every single time. So anything over 20 is bonus points. But usually if you catch an adult, it's going to be 18 to 20 every time.
Yeah. There was a lot of big ones up. And they weren't, they were skinny. They weren't like the ones that I was catching, at least. They weren't full. So, I mean, they could have been moving off, too. So them moving off and boats taking them off, and I don't know. I think we caught the tail end of the smallies, but if you found big ones, I really thought it was going to be 100. I really did.
Well, that's awesome. So somebody posted a comment that you've been kicking some ass in the local stuff up there, for a while now. What's your local club that you fish with?
I direct and fish with Any Bassin. I know you guys just had Tibbins on here a couple weeks ago, whatever it was. So he directs the individual trail, and I co-direct the team trail for kayaks and small boats. So I do Any Bassin, and then I do Slay Nation. I fish Slay events with those guys. But I just fish whatever's local. It doesn't matter. I just want to fish with people. It doesn't. I don't.
And we were talking before. You're considering possibly making the trip to Champlain?
I would like to. I would like to go to Champlain for the Hobie event, and then we have the elite kayak elites or whatever it's called up here in the Northeast, and they're going to Champlain and Winnipesaukee. I'd like to do a couple of those events too with those guys, but I would definitely like to do the Hobie one. And I did the Susquehanna last year. And that was not fun for me.
What happened?
I did terrible, and I don't know. I just got to figure it out. But I was considering that one too for Hobie. So
I'll be at that one for sure. You're more than welcome to come hang out with us at the old church one night. We have a graveyard in the yard if you want to come over. But yeah, the Susky, I think this year, supposedly from what I'm hearing, is going to be better. There's actually going to be what they call water in the river.
Really?
So that should make the fishing a lot better, because last year I think there was more rocks than water, and that made for a tough little run.
Yeah, the drive did not really help me last year. It was more of a nuisance because it found just about every rock in the.
When I say that I put the kick up fins to the test, I mean it. I beat the heck out of that thing. Like, it was bad.
Yeah.
That was a rough river. I mean, you better really trust your equipment, and hopefully you don't have any soft spots in the hull, because you will find them for sure.
Yeah, but it was fun. I mean, we caught a lot of fish, not a lot of big fish, but it was a good time, and I know a lot of guys that did well and loved it. So, I mean, if I could go back down there, that'd be fun too.
How many people did you have in the tournament on Saturday?
Up here in Connecticut, I think it was like 76, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a good turnout.
And it was a pretty good. I saw some pictures. Jody Queen posted some pictures of, was it Friday night or Saturday? They had a food truck, and I saw some tables and stuff set out. Looked like a little shindig, little gathering.
Yeah, they did. Well, they did it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I think. But Friday was like. It was like a mandatory captain's meeting, so there was a bunch of people there. I would assume everybody went. I don't know, but yeah.
Nice.
Congrats. We got
Good
Alex
job.
Cox in the green room. We're going to get him in here in just a second. But there's one thing that Ryan mentioned that I didn't even think about with the KBF events being two separate totally events, Saturday and Sunday. And that is, you could have went back and caught all those 20s again off the beds if you found them, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would have been 100% legal. In a 2-day tournament, you can't do that.
No.
Something I hadn't even thought about. So
yeah, and I really thought that was going to come into play, and I thought people were just going to be watching each other. I started that 1975 I started like maybe 3 docks down from a guy, and I caught mine. And I was leaving, and he was putting his back, so I opened the app, and I was like looking through, and he had submitted a 1975. I'm like, he knows where I was, I know where he was, but I was running back to the boat ramp because I knew there was a 20. But he could have easily just went over to my fish and caught that 1975.
Oh, man.
So I was like, I don't know how that's going to work.
The wide world of kayak fishing.
That'd have been epic if you just.
I got to say, they're just so easy to catch, and then just go right back and keep defending. So
if you'd have caught all 5 of the same fish on the day 2, that'd have been epic to win them back to back on the same fish. That'd have been good talking points.
Oh boy, I can only imagine.
If I wasn't blind casting the last year,
that's true. That's true.
Do you have any sponsors, family, friends you'd like to thank? I know you got to jump on another podcast here, so we'll wrap this up.
Yeah, I guess sponsor wise, I'm with Northbound Gear. It's like a clothing company out of Canada. They make a lot of like cold weather stuff, which obviously didn't help me this week because it was 90 the whole weekend. But in the winter and stuff, they make awesome stuff. You guys can check them out. And I'm with Woo Tungsten and X Zone Lures as well. And being in Connecticut is actually pretty cool. My parents and my girlfriend went down to the awards because it's close and I was doing well. And they messaged me like 2 hours before the tournament and they were like, hey, we're going to come down. I'm like, don't plan on me winning this. Cause
Don't jinx it.
Yeah, I don't know how this is going to go, but that was pretty cool. So thanks to them. I appreciate that. That was nice.
Heck yeah.
And I mean, when we're traveling around, there's a lot of events that we do that they couldn't go to because they're in Alabama or Florida or whatever. So doing good at a local one was pretty cool.
Heck yeah, man. Good stuff. Now you can go spend
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming on with us, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, good times, man. Thanks for taking the time. And I think Brian and the whole crew is going to be on Paddle and Fin here in 30 or 40 minutes. So get over there and check them out.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, let's see if we can bring in Mr. Cox. Alex Cox, welcome to the show.
How you guys doing?
Good. How you doing, man?
We're here,
Oh,
man.
I'm doing great.
You're doing real good. Now, I was going to call you the $15,000 man, but there was conflicting reports about how much money you actually won at this event. So you want to clear that up before we go on?
15 seems to be the right number. Yeah.
Okay.
Lambert was dead on.
Of course. I mean, come on. I know my dollars and cents, Jeff. I might not know much else.
Yeah. Well, man,
Josh Evans says, "Bring in the Cox."
Yeah. I'm here.
He says that every night. It's crazy.
So did I get it right that you were starting a new job this week?
Yeah. This whole the past 2 weeks has been insane. So I've been basically in this interview process since March. It's this it's a golf performance place. I used to run a gym. I'm in the fitness industry, and we shut down in September. My business partner and I shut the gym down that we had for 3 years, and I've been doing nothing but fishing and kind of doing some soul searching in the past few months. Obviously COVID brought a big hamper on everything, and I found this really cool place to work. It's called Urban Golf Performance, and today was my first day of like staff training for 2 weeks. And so this Clear Lake tournament, building up to it, was kind of like this turning point in my life where I'm getting back into like real work, big boy jobs, and I'm not exactly sure how much fishing I'm gonna be doing after that. But and Clear Lake is about 7.5 hour drive. So after the awards ceremony and everything got all said and done yesterday, I didn't get home till like 3:15 and started at 8 a.m. this morning. And even just getting back here for this, I was in about 40 minutes of traffic. But life's good, man. I can't complain about anything right now. I'm on cloud nine.
Did you call your boss this morning and tell him to shove it that you're a professional kayak angler now?
No, but I
got 2 Starbucks on the way to work, so there.
Yeah, slammed a couple Red Bulls before I walked in there, and no, I told him, I was like, hey, like, just so you know, I won a big kayak tournament yesterday, and I'm pumped to be here, but I'm also like, I got like 1,000 text messages to answer to, but I'll take care of that later. But yeah, man, it's life's good.
Yeah. What a way to start the week, man. Start the new job with a nice little nest egg in the bank account, huh?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
That helps. Post-COVID surprise.
Yeah. Well, tell us about the tournament. Obviously, you're in California, but if you're 7.5 hours away, it's not a local. So, how'd you figure that place out?
I live just south of LA County, basically Orange County, and I grew up doing a lot of saltwater fishing, and once I got into college, collegiate fishing takes you around the state and across the nation sometimes, and so we did fish Clear Lake a decent amount. So I actually called Clear Lake kind of like my home lake, even though I live so far away from it.
Okay.
Because I've got a lot of history there, and I have a close family friend who lives on the lake. He doesn't fish at all, which is surprising, but every time I go up there, I kind of check out some areas, and really where I won this tournament was about 400 yards from his house, which was absolutely insane. And I'm always just jacked to get up to Clear Lake. So last weekend, Anthony Garcia and I drove up on Thursday night around 10 p.m. and got there Friday morning, just went straight to fishing. And there was an off limits period on Monday. So we fished Friday, Saturday, Sunday, made the long drive home. And then we went back up, and the official practice day was Saturday.
This was a Sunday tournament, 1 day tournament.
1 day,
okay.
2 tournaments in conjunction with each other, but they were both on Sunday.
Jesus.
Yeah, timing was kind of weird here. And in practice, the week before, I had about 95 inches on Friday. I had 98 on Saturday, and I checked another area of the lake, and it was probably like 85 inches or so. So I had some confidence areas, and I had a feeling that high 90s was going to take it. Really, Clear Lake has a lot of healthy, good, solid weight fish, but for kayak fishing, it's kind of tough to put up big numbers because they're so fat and short, typically. Obviously, last year, Russ Snyder's put up 100 inches, and that was insane. But traditionally, it's in like the mid 90s, I would say.
He doesn't count. Anything Russ Snyder's does has an asterisk beside it. That doesn't count in real life.
So I planned. I run a new canoe Pursuit with an XI3 trolling motor. I got a 100 amp Bioenno battery, and I actually brought an extra 60 amp battery because I planned on running about 15 waypoints, about 18 miles of bank.
Bro.
And I just had so much different stuff. I had bedfish I was going to check on. I had like rock points and some grass stuff. I just had a lot of stuff. So I pulled up to my first spot around at 6. We had 30 minutes to get from launch to lines in, and it was this big rock wall that I could really bank on for like an 80 to 85 inch limit. It took me 30 minutes to catch a 16 incher, and I was like, this is this is not good right now. Like I was scratching my head. So I cast out, I'm fishing a jig to start off with. So I cast out again, and the wind is howling, and the waves are bouncing off this wall. So I'm just getting kind of turned around, but I'm on spot lock, so I'm somewhat able to stay on the same spot. And as I'm kind of like looking at my graph to figure out, okay, which exact spot am I going to go to next, I just noticed that my rod starts moving, and I pick it up and I set the hook, and it was my big fish of the tournament, 21 and a half. And so I figure, all right, well, maybe I just need to slow down a little bit. So I continue to stay on spot lock on the same spot, and I caught 4 more fish in the next 15 minutes that put me at 95 inches.
Bro.
And then I only had to move. I mean, with the motor guide, you can basically push a button and it'll jog you up about like 5 feet. And so I would jog up about 5 feet and make a cast, and I catch a fish. And then jog up another 5 to 10 feet and catch a fish. I probably caught 20 fish in between like 6:30 and 8 o'clock, and I had like 98 inches.
Shit.
And then I culled another 2.25 inches in like the next hour
On the same rock wall that it was just on fire.
The same rock wall, it just lit up between 6:30 and 8. It kind of ramped up, went down a little bit, and I couldn't buy a bite after 9:40. I had 1.25 inches at 9:40. And
that's probably enough. I mean, not
and I had no idea what to do.
Go get a martini, kick back, get your nails done. Hell, I don't know what you Cali people do, but that's probably what I would have went for.
The worst thing was I was a quarter mile from my friend's house, and I could have taken a nap there.
Went and got some breakfast, took a little dish in the hammock.
With this tournament, Clear Lake is so big, but there's so much of the lake. It's about, I don't know, maybe like 26 miles from end to end. Maybe more. For some reason, I have 26 stuck in my head. But they gave you 10 launches to choose from. It was kind of like an open selected launch ramp format. Mm-hmm. And you couldn't get out anywhere. I mean, it's California. You have to choose a ramp. You can't really launch anywhere on the lake. And I mean, there's so much of Clear Lake that is inaccessible to kayaks because there's so much space between some launches, and there's just not even roads to get to these spots. But either way, I basically went for a boat ride for 5 hours and sweated it out. I checked on a couple other things, but I didn't want to use all the extra battery. The wind kind of died down eventually. I mean, I caught a couple more fish on chatterbaits and things like that, but I pretty much just cruised around the lake and checked my phone about every 15 minutes to see if anybody was catching up.
If a man shows up at a ramp with 3 or 4 batteries, I'm going to assume he knows exactly what he's about to do that day. So I probably would just tip my hat to you at that point and load my stuff back on the trailer.
Yeah, and I'm glad that I didn't have to go do that, because the other fish the bed fish that I would plan on looking at were maybe 18 to 19 inches. They always look bigger in practice when they're in the water, and when you catch them, I don't think they would have really helped me. I stuck one 20-inch bedfish in practice in an area that I didn't want to have to go so far in the tournament. I kind of wanted to eliminate that water, and I maybe could have put up 101, but I'm seeing people saying I should have thrown a HUD, but right now, Clear Lake, the conditions, it's Northern California. There's a lot of fish that are post-spawn. Pretty much when I was catching big fish last week, I was catching fish on frogs, buzz baits, and pretty much everything was on points outside of spawning coves. And that's kind of what I figured was going to work. In practice, they weren't really there. I didn't have those frogfish. I didn't have those chatterbait fish in the grass and those points, where those fish are kind of in between going out to their summer deep spots and coming from their spawning coves. But this rock wall just always reloads, and normally we fish there when it's at night and it's on fire. But that morning it was something else. It really was.
Go ahead.
Ryan.
Sorry,
so Bob Baylor asked what you fish out of. I thought you already had
I fish on a new canoe pursuit.
All right.
Do you have a white Millennium seat on it by chance?
No, I don't. No, I got the.
Would you like one?
Regular seat. No, you know what's funny is for some tournaments,
white seats are funny.
You know, I see a lot of guys put coolers on this, and they use the coolers to see. Like Cody Milton has done it a handful of times, and I know Derek Brundle does.
Cody Milton enjoyed it so much he went back to Hobie.
Yeah. So, funny story. So I bought it. I bought a cooler, and I put it on the boat, and I strapped it down and everything like that. And I fished a handful of tournaments earlier in the year, some smaller ones, where sight fishing was really the deal. And I was throwing like some big glide baits, and I was seeing followers, and they were just kind of showing me where they were. But standing on that cooler, some tournaments allow it and some don't. You could really just see everything, but your balance is so far off. So I fell in the water twice in the same day, and I had like an iPhone 10, and I was like, I didn't think anything of it. The next weekend, I fished another tournament out of the same setup with the cooler. I fell in again. This is in Northern California. My phone dies, and I'm just about to, like, the tournament's over. Like, I check out. My phone was still working. I checked out of the tournament on Tourney X and everything. I waved to my buddy at the launch ramp, and I'm like, hey, like, I got to go. We got 6-hour drive home. I want to, get home before it's dark. And my phone died as soon as I hit basically Highway 5, which I had the 300 miles to drive. Every single person that I know, my wife, all my fishing friends, who I normally talk to when I'm on this drive home, were calling CHP. Nobody had heard from me.
Wow.
The tournament director, like everybody was on like this bolo, be on the lookout for me because I didn't have my phone and it died.
Chips is out there just riding up and down the road on their motorcycles looking for you.
Yeah, that was an event for sure. But I'm gonna stick to the regular seat from now on.
That's smart. Yeah. I mean, I like having a cooler in the boat only if I'm going drinking. If I'm going fishing, there's not really a need for me to have a cooler inside my vessel.
Yeah.
I wanted you to talk a little bit about the health of that fishery because whenever there's a tournament and I see a big limit in the top, say the top 5 have solid limits, that's impressive no matter where it is. But when I always like to go down to like 20th and 30th place and see where those numbers are, and that really kind of talks about the fishery. So I went, and let me throw this on the screen real quick. I went all the way down to 78th place, and the 78th place person still had 80 inches.
Yeah.
And 102 people had limits. So, I mean, obviously Clear Lake is right now.
So that just those numbers alone kind of explain why I'm willing to drive at all hours of the night to get there. I mean, you guys have probably heard about Southern California and how dismal it can be. There's big fish in Southern California, but if you catch 80 inches, like, you're pretty happy with that sometimes. But yeah, Clear Lake, it's really hard to catch fish that are under 2 pounds there. For some reason, they basically just go from fry to 2-pounders instantly. And I think people have figured out that they typically grow about 1.5 pounds a year. And it's just, you can do anything that you technically want to do. If you want to deep crank and throw hard baits all day long, you can do that really well. If you want to throw a 6-inch roboworm drop shot all day long, you can still win a tournament doing that. If you want to fish deep, if you want to fish shallow, it's got a big north end that's this big shallow bowl where you could flip and frog all day long. And when you go further down south, it's got 2 different arms that kind of have a little bit deeper water, and it's the biggest natural lake in California, so it's got a lot of volcanic rock, and it just always puts out fish. It's really hard to have a bad day there. It's just whether it's good or it's really good.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Even the 19th place person had 90 inches.
Yeah.
Those are insane numbers for anywhere.
So I remember homeboy Shane Williams he hung out with Cody and Abel and the whole Cali crew. But he went out to Clear Lake. I think it was year before last, probably. And Adam Bomba, don't let me leave Adam out. He'll get very upset. But anyhow, went out to Clear Lake, and he sent a picture of this rock wall, and there were like 20, 25 kayaks like lined up down this bluff wall, and like 15 of them were blocking for one dude fishing fishing an area down there. Like, how many people were you fishing around on your bluff wall?
So the wall that I was fishing, I mean, it's kind of where a rock bank meets a wall. So it wasn't all just a wall. There was some rock out there as well that was just kind of offshore. But there was 3 guys. There was the guy that was kind of, I would say, closest to me. But we kind of crossed paths at some point, maybe around like 7:15 or 7:30. This is when I had maybe a 97 or 98 inches. I said, "How you doing?" He's like, "Well, I'm in second right behind you." And he had like 88, 89 inches. And once the bite kind of slowed down and I had such a big limit, I said, "Dude, I said, look, if you want to fish in front of me, behind me, right next to me, I absolutely don't care. I mean, like, we can't do anything wrong right now." And I showed him in the air the jig that I was throwing, the color, and I was like showing him how slow I was fishing it. And he just kept throwing a drop shot, and I don't know how he ended up. He actually won a brand new Hobie 360, a PA 14 the night before.
Wow.
He also bought $800 worth of raffle tickets.
Wow.
And he
stack the deck, homeboy.
He already has a Hobie, so I don't know what he's gonna do with that other one. But no, it was really cool to fish right next to him, and I think his cousin was like a little bit further down the way. But no, I mean, I saw a couple people kind of cruise past me, but it's not really a big community hole. I think the spot that you're talking about is a little bit further up the lake. It's called Henderson Point, and it's one of the community spots in Clear Lake. But
I have no idea. One day I'm going to venture to California. I promise. One of these days. I just saw the pictures and heard the stories and was like, "Wow, that's impressive." If that's what a Cali tournament is, where I got to squeeze in like 50 other dudes, and I'm not inclined to try that. I don't have the patience for it, I guess.
And I don't like fishing around a crowd. I typically like to do what everybody else isn't doing. Yes. I mean, technique-wise, I like to think outside the box. And so I've fished Clear Lake kayak tournaments since 2018. I started fishing on a stand-up paddleboard. My first ever bass fishing on a kayak tournament was on a 12-foot fiberglass stand-up paddleboard. I took it to Clear Lake, and then I kind of got a sense of how serious everybody was with their Hobies and Titans and everything. And then I bought a kayak the next year. But 2018, 2019, and 2020, all the Clear Lake events have been won up north, which is shallow grass fishing. And every year I get kind of like a top 10, top 5, and I fish down south. And this year I said, you know what, I'm still gonna go down south, but I do think that I can win it, not fishing all that grass stuff. But it's big enough to where you can spread out. You don't need to fish a community hole to catch 95 inches there. I just don't understand why there would have been so many people blocking.
Did you like fishing off a paddleboard, out of curiosity?
I still do. Yeah, when I bought a Bonafide first after that paddleboard, and then I sold the Bonafide and I jumped on with a new canoe. And when I was waiting for the boat and the motor to kind of arrive, I had basically from October to February of like no tournaments, no nothing. And in SoCal, that's prime swim bait season. So I was going to my local pond pretty much. It's like a 280-acre lake. It's called a lake here. And I was throwing 8-inch HUDs there on a stand-up paddleboard, and I knew my rock piles, and I would anchor up and basically just fish swim baits all day long on it. It's cool. I mean, I live really close to the ocean, so it's convenient to just walk across the beach and paddle around a little bit. But I'm definitely over paddling, that's for sure.
Paddling I don't recommend for anyone ever in kayak fishing, because if you're paddling then you can't cast, and that's the whole point of fishing. Right. I asked that because I'm looking, so Hobie debuted this, and we can talk about this, Jeff. I know there's a little bit of roasting on the page with the Hobie Lynx and it's basically, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's a paddleboard that has a drive hole in the middle. I mean, it's completely flat. It's similar to that inflatable I-11 that they had that was indeed an inflatable paddleboard. I just don't know. I've never fished off one, and I drop a ton of stuff off the side of my pro angler, so I don't know how much I'm about to lose if I try to do something like that. That's why I asked the question, did you enjoy fishing off of it? I would love to have something lightweight to be able to literally carry on my shoulder down to the river or the ocean or wherever I'm at that time, but I don't know. That's where my little mind's at. I don't know how much stuff I'm going to drop in the bottom of the water.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why I like fishing off it so much is, like I said, I kind of started bass fishing in college fishing. So you're standing up, you're on the bow of a boat, and sitting down just never really appealed to me. So when I bought this paddleboard, I didn't really have the intention of bass fishing on it, but I wanted to paddle and fish the ocean, and eventually I took it into the lakes. But I think it's got a rating of like 400 pounds. I think the company designed it for fishing because they had regular paddle boards that you're meant to take out in the ocean, but then they custom made this mold for like a whole offensive line of, I think, the Chargers or something like that. And they said, well, let's just keep making this and we'll put some quarter 20 threads on it, and you could add some fishing attachments to it and some ram arms, and we'll call it the fishing edition.
Okay.
And it's like 36 inches wide, so it's pretty wide, and it's stable. I mean, I've never fallen off of it. You just kind of have to, like, when you're measuring fish on it, you got to kneel down and really pin those fish down. But it could be convenient for, just walking down the bank in the river. I can definitely see that.
Have you ever met Jason Yang? Do you know Jason Yang?
I don't think so.
I didn't think he really fished. I knew he was fake anyway.
Have you seen his meme work?
He does do memes. Speaking of memes, congratulations to the top 12 in this California Bass Nation event. 13th was our friend Maximilian. He snuck in there, qualified for the Bassmaster Classic National Champion Division, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And Max, I hope I see you there. I don't know where it's going to be, but you better make it.
It's in South Carolina. Is that a place?
Yeah, South Carolina.
Whatever you say.
Somewhere near Lake Harlow, right?
I don't know why.
I don't know. Is it? Well, I mean, I guess we'll see. It'll be some perimeter lake there, but I look forward to seeing some of you guys. I hope you guys make it out. I know it's a long haul and whatnot, but we'll promise to show you a good time down here.
Well, I'll take you up on that.
Deal.
We got a question from the crowd. Brad, I don't want to say his last name wrong. Ask Alex who predicted he'd win. Did Brad make that prediction?
Yeah, actually, So like I said, I've fished a handful of these Clear Lake events and kind of knocked at the door a little bit, and everybody that I seem to talk to was just like, hey, this is your time. Like, the way that life is setting up with this job starting, you're not going to sure how much fishing you're going to be doing, and just with everything. I had a lot of people just say, like, I think that you're going to win this one. So Brad predicted it. Yeah, I know Brad pretty well. Actually, I still don't even know how to pronounce his last name, even though he's in our circle of friends. But Brad's an excellent dude. He's definitely one of the good guys in my corner, and he's really close with Shane, my co-host for the Bass Thumbs Fishing podcast, and everybody in California has been nothing but great. I met Max for the first time yesterday at the award ceremony. He was really, really cool. I think he, gave me a shout out on Instagram when he gave like his midday update. Sometimes I think you do well and you get some shade from people, but everybody has been absolutely phenomenal, and I can't thank everybody enough, including you guys for having me on.
Oh, heck yeah,
dude! Man. I mean, we've been keeping up with it. I know. Tim and Garrett kind of poked the bear a little bit to hype this thing up, which I don't mind. I'm more than happy to do. But, it's important to see big turnouts for these higher level California events because, obviously for the anglers, you want to attract these big national trails. That's more opportunity. And I mean, the more you get your name out there, the more growth you're going to see. And not only does that benefit California as a whole, but the anglers individually too. That's going to open more doors for these guys that are interested in pulling in sponsorships and making a nice little side hustle out of kayak fishing.
And at the end of the day, we're all fishing out of a plastic boat.
You dang
You're
right.
right. That's a very important.
All the opinions and everything aside, I see everything on Facebook. All it is fishing in a plastic boat, and adding some drama and some West Coast versus East Coast hype. Like I love seeing all that stuff, because everybody's got to have something to talk to between Monday and Sunday.
Oh yeah.
Are you familiar with our group at all, Alex? Do you follow anything that any of the goings on within the group?
I was victim to Conrad Benetti last year. I had absolutely the best monthly ever with 114 inches. Of course, I lose to Damian Tao, who you guys probably recognize that name, who also loses to Conrad Benetti in the Wild West Kayak monthly tournament. But
from Florida. From Florida. Wild West out of Florida.
That was when I really kind of started tuning into some of the KBN stuff, and I still see it every once in a while. I'm not really as active on Facebook as I used to be. I don't post anything ever, but I sure as heck watch everything that you guys say. You
can copy and paste pretty much Conrad from month to month. Like anything from KBN, it's going to be the same thing. Hey, but he lives in a beautiful part of the country, and it grows magnificent giant bass, and nobody's knocking that or his ability to go catch those particular bass. But as you know, as you just drove 6 or 7 hours to the other side of your state to win this tournament, there's a lot of factors that go into play there. I'm sure you had some local hammers out there on Clear Lake that may have been favored to win. That didn't seem to take any wind out of your sails as you went in and dominated.
Yeah, I think. I mean, there's some Facebook comments about who's going to be predicted to win. I think most of the comments went towards Damien. John Myers was also a heavy favorite, and they pretty much got second and third. So the usual suspects were up there.
Greg Blanchard, I saw Greg was up there as well. Yeah. Of course, Greg always cashes checks.
And if you put this tournament a little bit more towards the summertide patterns, like Greg would be my favorite in any kind of betting odds for Clear Lake. At least now he's really dialed it in the last couple of years.
Well, let me ask you all this. Either one of you can answer, but there's always that joking on KBN and other places about bringing an event out to California, or the California guys coming out to Mid-America or the East Coast. It's a logistical problem for the bass boat pros, much less the kayak folks. What's it going to take to convince, a guy like me or anybody else that lives this far away from California to make that trip? Is it going to have to be like multiple events back to back to make it worth it, to make it a week out of it? Because I don't know how many people can get out there for a weekend. You know what I mean? Just justify that expense.
Well, I'll chime in first on that. I think that, if you can get a handful of these organizations to pair up, I mean, it's going to be hard to convince any organization to put a midweek tournament. But let's say you have like a Saturday tournament on the Delta, and then you give everybody 4 days of practice to go to Clear Lake, and then you give everybody, I don't know, 3 more days and fish like another. If you put enough tournaments together, like when they bring the elites out here, they used to be every 5 years. They would have a West Coast swing, so it'd be Delta, Clear Lake, and then maybe Havasu or Meade or something like that.
Yep.
But logistically, it's hard. You can't argue that there's nothing between California and the middle of the country. I mean, there's Colorado and Utah, but like to really attract a crowd and have an arena for a tournament and make it worth the anglers' sponsorship money and all their deals, it's just everybody's at the mercy of where their money's coming from and how far it's going to take them to get there. And it's just, that's the nature of the beast right now. But I think kind of like what happened last year, there was a Hobie event and then there was a KBF event the next year. And the reason why that Bassmaster event wasn't so popular is because there was just so much that already happened. It was the third weekend and not a lot of people can get 3 weekends in a row off.
The only way I would do it, Jeff, is if I made like a vacation out of it, like a road trip, and honestly it'd probably have to be like 10 days or so off work, but hit some stuff on the way out there, go hit a national park or two and make like a whole justifiable deal out of it. But I'd like to hit 2 tournaments out there. And it's the same with this Texas swing that we're coming up on. I mean, that's a 12, 13-hour drive for me. But if I can hit Sam Rayburn and Possum Kingdom while I'm out there, I'm in. So I've got a little work thing that may have to happen during the Possum Kingdom, the Classic tournament. if I can't do that, then I'm probably not going to drive out there and fish Rayburn and drive back, because it just doesn't make logistical sense to spend 24 hours driving to fish one tournament. But I hope that doesn't happen. But back to the main point of the California deal, like if they had a couple tournaments that were relatively close to each other, it would be much more appealing for me to drive out. And especially kind of how Rayburn and the Classic are lining up. They're not close to each other, but they are, within driving distance and 2 days apart. So that for me was kind of the selling point on making a little Texas tour.
I think if you convince Disneyland to put some 5 and 6 pounders in the lake and let them host a kayak tournament, everybody will come across and fish there.
I got lost at Disneyland when I was 9 years old, and I'm never going back. I sat in Lost and Found for 6 hours. I'm never going back to Disneyland.
Explains a lot, Ryan.
Yeah, it happens. That's why I don't trust Callie, man. And it all hit me when he said he locked eyes with that dude, and he's like, "We can't do no wrong for the next hour." that hit me. That touched my soul. I was like, "This is California right here." That's why I don't go back.
That's good stuff. Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to see a West Coast swing of some sort. I just don't know, if it'll ever be in the cards, but you never know. You never know. I'd like to make it out there myself at some point. Any more questions from anybody in the crowd? I think Josh Evans just said what you said, Ryan. He said, sounds like Rayburn and Possum Kingdom. The
True.
Texas
Facts.
swing coming up.
Alex, when are you moving out of California? Tell us that.
Oh, man, I don't know. I just started a brand new gig.
Oh, no, man. I just got this sweet job.
I just got this job. I moved out of California once. I've been pretty anchored to where I'm at. I mean, every school that I've been to has been within a mile of the house that I grew up in. I moved out to Spain for about 8 months, and I said,
wow.
I don't want to do that, and I came back.
There's other states in the United States that you could go to, though. You don't have to go to, Spain.
Yeah. I after going to Gunnersville last October, I really like that area of the nation.
That's
Tennessee,
me, boy.
That would be probably most appealing. I can't lie. I was looking at houses and shocked at how affordable everything is and what you get and how much
cheap,
space
dog.
you get. Yeah. I definitely don't think it hasn't crossed my mind.
We've got a Top Golf here. I'll put you on.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, there we go. So it's not
you.
out of the cards. Maybe in the next 10 years, but
Okay.
in the near future, I'm still anchored down here.
We got another question for you before we wrap things up. Brian, he put this in here. What's your favorite lake in SoCal? And he also said move to Texas like the rest of us Californians.
Big Stick Howl.
Oh yeah.
Brian's a Cali native, as you probably know.
Favorite lake in SoCal is probably that little Lake Puddingstone. If you guys know who Oliver Nye is,
Yeah. I
so
know
Big
Oliver.
Bass Dreams. He didn't grow up too far from where I'm at, and he really cut his teeth on Puddingstone and Lake Paris. Some of his the original Big Bass Dreams Volume 1. Most of that footage is from Lake Paris, and those two lakes I would say are my two favorite lakes in SoCal.
Oliver is the dream. He is the dream. Go out, start doing your own thing, build your own brand, gain some traction, and now he's out, fishing the MLF Big Five stuff, just chasing it across the country. Like he is, he's doing it, man. Hats off to Oliver. I love following his stories, man. He is very entertaining, and he stays on some good fish too. Like he commits big. You can tell. You see that Cali flair though. Like he's on these lakes. He's not throwing a chatterbait. He's throwing a freaking 7-8 inch swim bait out there, trying to get those big bags. That's it.
And wearing a brand new pair of Jordans while he's at it.
Yeah, he is fresh. His boat, man.
Yeah,
that's nasty.
Ryan, but before we wrap things up tonight, I've got the comment of the night from Bob Baylor. See if you can read that.
But you know what? That comment applies to Clear Lake just as easily. I'll tell you that.
Oh man, Bob. Agreed. I did like Dardanelle. Actually, I had a great time with the meth heads at the little bar that we found. So I can't even knock them. I actually had a better time with them than I did the lake.
Yeah, good stuff, Bob. That was hilarious. The truth is always the funniest.
Oh my gosh. It is. It is.
Always
Well, Alex, congratulations again. Thank you for coming on. If you have any sponsors you'd like to plug, your podcast, tell us about that. And we'll let you go have dinner probably out there.
Get some sleep.
yeah, dinner and a nap. So sponsors, I'm on Team New Canoe this year. I can't be any happier than I am on that New Canoe Pursuit. It's fast on the water. It's really stable when you're not standing on a cooler. And I use a Motor Guide XI3 powered by Bioenno batteries, and I use obviously a lot of batteries to cover a lot of water. And all of that really was made possible by Romel. You can find him on Instagram, Wizardworks. He did some really good custom work for a Humminbird Mega 360 mount that I have, and that was also a big player this past weekend. The local shop that I'm a big fan of and that helps me out is Performance Tackle. They have a handful of guys that are on the elites now that still fish their custom rods. And Shane and I run the Bass Thumbs Fishing Podcast. We kind of cover a lot of the West Coast kayak stuff. We talk to some bass boat pros, and we just try to keep it light and fun and informative. So if you guys, after listening to this, we put out one episode a week, and I'll have to interview myself for this one, but Jeff and Ryan, I can't thank you, enough for having me on, and keep doing what you're doing. I love the live shows. We got to try to get live sometime on our podcast.
It's risky, but it's fun.
Yeah.
It's risky, but that's right. It's the thrill of the live show in the Arkansas internet. Yeah, good stuff, man. Thanks everyone for watching tonight. And Alex, thank you. I know you were wore out, but congrats on the win and the new job and just killing it out there in California, man.
Great job, California Bass Nation. Y'all put on a great event, great show. Took you a little bit on the judging, but honestly, seriously, y'all killed it. Great payout, and I hope you have continued success down the road.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. We're going to wrap this up. We are out of here. Everybody have a great night.